Purpok here, and welcome back for another episode of Race the Ramen, the show where I attempt to review something unscripted in the amount of time it takes to boil an instant ramen. And today we'll be taking a look at Encanto, streaming now on Disney+. Alright, we're going to start the timer right now. Okay, so Encanto. I wasn't expecting to do this. I do like cartoons a lot. I talk about animation plenty on this channel, and I watch a lot of animated movies. I just don't cover all of them on here. And in general, well, Disney has a long legacy and lots of, great stories and classics in that history. I don't really much care for the company. I know that's not crazy unpopular or uncommon these days, but I don't like Disney much. And they're the main Disney animated studios animated output. For a while, it just hasn't really been grabbing me. It's not like I've disliked it strongly, but I haven't really loved a Disney movie, an animated Disney movie, in forever. I can't remember the last time, honestly. It is something I would have said a week ago, but I've now seen Encanto. Encanto is the best animated Disney movie I have seen in maybe 10 plus years. I had no real expectations going into it. I barely even really knew what it was about. I went in almost completely blind. I have now watched the movie 3 times, and I honestly love it. I think Encanto is really great. And you should watch it if you haven't. I'm probably going to get into some spoiler discussion going forward. Just know that. You should watch it. It's great. But I'm going to go into it. So yeah. Encanto is the story of a big family, the Madrigals, who live in this magical house in the hills of Colombia. And the main character, as it is one Mirabel, who is the one member of this family who was born... Well, not born with it, but she never ended up getting a magical power, which everyone else in the family ends up getting. She kind of feels out of place, unwanted, and really just kind of, scorned and ignored by a lot of her family. And that's, the starting point. It's interesting. This movie, has so many strong points that I normally could not, compliment a Disney movie for, let alone Disney animated movie. And I know I'm talking a lot of shit right now, okay? I love animation and cartoons. There's tons of great Disney and Pixar movies. I'm not trying to say they can't make good movies. I'm just saying, Encanto does not feel like one of their typical animated movies, especially not compared to a lot of their output from the past decade. Compared to stuff like Wreck-It Ralph and Frozen. All this other just stuff that just doesn't have the same tone. Encanto feels very emotionally grounded, despite being a fantasy magic musical with a bunch of bright colors everywhere and superpowers. It's basically a story about holding in your emotions and putting up a facade for the benefit of keeping things together, because you don't want to be the one who topples the house of cards. It's about not feeling wanted or special among other people who are praised as such. It's about the struggles of what it's like to be a person with that kind of gifted status, responsibility put on your head. And we're going into super spoilers here, not full spoilers, but spoiler. Intergenerational trauma. That really does feel like a big theme, how much people's actions affect one another in this family and in this community that forms around it. It's a surprisingly simple and yet very nuanced story. The character motivations are really interesting. I didn't really completely grasp everything the first time I went through it, which is part of the reason I was encouraged to rewatch it. A lot like the best Sony Pictures movies, just a lot of great animated movies, where there's just a lot of stuff in the frame, and rewatching will reward you with stuff you never noticed before. Encanto was like that, but usually instead of small visual details or jokes or whatever, some other movies might, it's usually oh, that expression it lets me infer that character's motivation more. This bit of information makes me question what that person said, and this thing I know from later in the movie is changed. The perspective is different. It's one of those movies that genuinely inspires intriguing discussion about its like themes and like all kinds of stuff you normally see for like movies, not crowd pleasing, happy ending Disney movies. It's surprisingly raw, and it's still held back in some ways because you know it is a mainstream Disney movie. But honestly, as one of those, it's one of the best in years. And the soundtrack's great. I almost forgot. I can't believe I almost didn't mention that. Hopefully, that gives you a decent impression of what I think of the movie. And I know I didn't talk about the soundtrack, but odds are you've already heard it because all the songs are going crazy viral because they're really well animated and catchy and great. And if you've seen them and you don't have any context, just watch the frickin' movie already. Like, I know a lot of Disney movies just become, oh, there's a new Disney movie out, I'll watch it or not, whatever. For some people, that's kind of how it has been for me. Legit, Encanto is one of my favorite movies of 2021 from what I've seen so far. Like, it's, I don't know exactly where I'd put it, but it's like up there with like Dune and The French Dispatch and shit. I would give Encanto a 9 out of 10. Legit, it's surprisingly great, and I don't think this will be for everyone. It kind of lacks a traditional villain. Some of the plot points are a little, done a little quick. Not everything has the same amount of like time spent on it to flesh it out. And again, I say this a lot, but it won't hit for everyone. For me, this hit hard. I can see myself rewatching this a bunch more times, and I encourage everyone to watch if they can, if you're interested. With your family, ideally, that'd be great. So yeah, Encanto. Maybe this is a new age for Disney animation, and the 2020s will be an interesting time for that medium again in the West. That'd be fun. Oh, and before anyone comments, yes, I got a haircut, but you know, it had to come at some point. It's the end of the first long-haired Purpok era. The first. It'll grow back.